Is Nintendo going fully digital? Now, I don't believe that Nintendo will go fully digital, at least not yet, but I do think that in their next console cycle, that they will focus more on the digital marketplace as opposed to physical game distribution. Yeah, I know this isn't a great time to talk about this because they just shut down the Wii U and 3DS eShop, but hear me out. I think by now we all understand that video games are probably the next piece of media that becomes fully digital. We've seen it with music and we've seen it with movies. It's just the next logical step for video games to become fully digital. I might be wrong about this, but the split between people buying physical games and digital games is about 50-50. It's already happening with PlayStation and Xbox. The PlayStation 5 has a version that is digital only, does not have a disc drive. The Xbox Series S does not have a disc drive. So it's already happening, and Nintendo is always behind the times, but they'll catch up. We've already seen them take some steps in the Nintendo Switch era that makes me believe that they're going to focus more on a digital platform as opposed to physical. We've seen this from the start of the Switch era with Nintendo offering more gold points for buying digitally as opposed to physically. Now, I'm not saying that this would sway anybody to purchase a digital game over a physical game because it's only like $3 per $60 game. It's not a huge benefit, but it is more of a benefit if you buy digitally as opposed to physically. They also offer double gold points every now and then. Like they just had an event a few months ago where anything you bought on the eShop essentially gave you double gold points, which was a nice little treat when I logged in February and saw that I had about $30 worth of gold points that I didn't realize I had because of this double gold point event. Again, it's not a huge benefit, but it is a benefit for buying a digital game over a physical game. Now I want to get into some things that I think will actually move the needle. For us in the United States, they offered Nintendo Switch Online game vouchers for a few months a few years ago, and then they just took them away. If you don't know what Nintendo Switch game vouchers are, is you would purchase 2 game vouchers for $100, and then you could redeem those vouchers to get 2 games from the voucher library. And in the library, it was mostly Nintendo published games. And Nintendo published games are typically $60. So if you were to redeem the vouchers on 2 $60 Nintendo games, you would essentially save $20. I thought it was a great deal. You would also get 500 gold coins. So you're essentially saving $25. As somebody that purchases everything digital and day one for Nintendo games, I loved that program and I was super frustrated when they took it away. But flash forward 3 years, they just brought back Nintendo Switch game vouchers for the United States. Now I know they've been in the UK and Europe this whole time, but they brought them back for the US just recently. And if you still don't understand what a game voucher is, I linked the video down below that I made a few months ago that explains what a game voucher is. The game voucher program is a major reason why I think they're going to focus more on digital, because they want people into their digital ecosystem. And once you buy one game digitally on your system, you're not going to want to go back to buying physical games because people either want all physical games or all digital games. You don't really want to have them mix and match. So they want you to become part of their ecosystem. So maybe in their next console cycle that you just automatically go to the digital side as opposed to physical right away. They also improved the game voucher program. There's no longer a time limit on when you could purchase the vouchers, which back 2-3 years ago when they first brought them, you only had 2 or 3 months to buy them and then they went away. There's also really no limit on how many vouchers you could purchase. Back 2-3 years ago, you could only purchase, I believe, 4 sets, which gave you 8 total vouchers. Now, I think you could have 8 vouchers at any time, but once you use a voucher, you could buy more vouchers. So there's not really a limit on how many vouchers that you can buy. I'm going to bring up a sore subject for a bit because we all know that Nintendo increased the price of Tears of the Kingdom from $60 to $70. But I do have good news for you. Now, Tears of the Kingdom is included in the game voucher library. So what that means is you could buy 2 game vouchers for $100, use one on Tears of the Kingdom, which is normally $70, and then use the second one on another $60 Nintendo game. So you're essentially either getting Tears of the Kingdom for $50 or you're getting a second Nintendo game for $30, which I think is a good deal, and it is going to get people to buy into the digital marketplace and digital ecosystem that they want people in, because saving $20 as opposed to $10 is much better. Everybody always complains about how Nintendo never puts their games on discount, but they don't talk about the game voucher program, which is essentially $10 off or more in the case of Tears of Kingdom for brand new Nintendo games. It's a no-brainer. I love the Nintendo Switch Online game voucher program so much. I know you have to be a Nintendo Switch Online user to have them, but who cares? You'll make your money back. Another thing that Nintendo has done recently that I think they might do more in the future is release a game digitally before the physical release happens. Metroid Prime Remastered was a digital shadow drop right after the most recent Nintendo Direct, and then the physical release was, I believe, 2 weeks after the fact. Now, I buy everything digitally anyway, and I love Metroid Prime, so I picked it up as soon as it dropped, but I do know that people that typically buy physical copies picked it up right away because they had that FOMO feeling and they wanted to play it and talk about it when everybody else was playing and talking about it. I talked about getting people into the digital ecosystem, and this is exactly what this was for, because they got people who would typically only buy the physical copy to buy it digitally, get them into the ecosystem, and maybe they will stick around and buy everything else digitally. Yeah, I know people double dip, but that's probably not the majority. People probably bought one copy of either digital if they picked it up right away or waited 2 weeks for physical. So I don't think most people are double dipping. This isn't the first time that Nintendo has done this either. If you were one of the 2.5 people that purchased the Wii U, you know that they did this for Wind Waker HD as well. They released Wind Waker HD digitally probably like 2 or 3 weeks before the physical release. As somebody that buys digitally, I love this. I love it so much. I wish they would do it more often. You can preload the games a week or two in advance, so why not just have them playable for people that buy them digitally and still have the physical release, you know, when it's planned or scheduled. Nintendo isn't the only one that has to deal with leaks, but Nintendo has a big problem with leaks. We see it a lot with Pokemon games, and now we've seen it most recently with Tears of the Kingdom. And if they would just release the digital copy of the game to the public earlier and I release the physical copies later, I understand that they have distribution issues and retail, whatever. I'm not that business savvy to understand all the inner workings of how retail distribution works, but they could just drop the digital version whenever they want. Yeah, I'm biased. I buy everything digital and I actually really enjoy it. I do believe these companies are going to implement better practices so that we don't have to deal with issues like these shops shutting down, like the eshop and all these other digital marketplaces, because they are now building a digital library that they don't really want to hang people out to dry. So I don't see us having much of an issue moving forward as we get more into a digital future of them shutting down marketplaces. I might be wrong, but by the time they shut something down, I probably won't care about it anymore anyway. I had said this on the Communication Air podcast, which you should check out. I'll link it down below. But my life has not gotten worse from them shutting down the Wii U and 3DS eShop. I do think Nintendo is moving more towards a digital future, and I would not be surprised if they had a Nintendo Switch 2 digital-only edition, kind of like PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, and I'll talk to you all next time.